In this video, we're going to discuss how to protect a hardwood floor during a renovation. Find out how, coming up next. What's going on, guys? Kendall here for Renos for Pros and Joes, helping you simplify the renovation and remodeling process. On this channel, we do hands-on product tool and gear reviews, as well as renovation tip and strategy videos like this one. So if you're interested in renovation, remodeling, and repair, subscribe now because this channel is for you. When doing a remodeling project, one of the most precarious times during the process is when you've completed doing your hardwood floor refinishing or freshly installed hardwood floors, and you're trying to wrap your project up without doing any damage to the floors. Typically, refinishing your hardwood floors or finishing new hardwood floors occurs prior to a project being completed if it's part of a larger scope of work, which means that you're going to have more tradesmen and professionals coming in and out of the property during the process after the majority of that finishing process has been complete. And this provides opportunities where the floors can be scratched and scraped, things can be dropped on them, spilled, etc. We want to do our best to protect our floors and be able to complete the project without any hiccups. So today I'm going to show you 4 different options when it comes to protecting a hardwood floor in a property during a renovation. And we're going to move our way up from least expensive to most expensive. So let's start with the first one, which is the least expensive, red rosin paper. Red rosin paper is actually pink in color. It is the thinnest and the least expensive of the 4 options that we're going to discuss today, all of which are paper or wood-based products. The red rosin paper is $14 a roll, and it covers approximately 500 square feet. It's going to give you the most coverage for the least amount of money. One thing that I would say about the red rosin paper is it's excellent for covering vertical surfaces that are not going to see any type of foot traffic, and it can also be good for doing projects like painting and things like that. They're going to be very limited in time period. If you're going to be putting this down and taking it back up within a very short period of time, maybe a day or so or even less, this is going to be an excellent option for you. Your second option for covering your hardwood floors is builder's paper. This is the color of a brown paper bag. It is a step up and it's thicker than the red rosin paper, and it covers about 416 square feet and comes in at $12 a roll. This product performs very well when it is placed extended side by side, like you see on the floor behind me. It does well. Using it as a runner, I would not recommend because it has a tendency to be able to slip. And if you don't have this taped down, which you wouldn't have it taped down on a hallway, it can slide, which is not a good thing. Which brings us to our third option, which is called X-board. This product is thicker than the builder's paper by quite a bit, and it does very well on areas that are going to be high traffic areas. It does very well when you overlap and tape it down. It also lays by itself and does not slide or slip. So this is going to be a great option for high traffic areas like kitchens and living rooms and family rooms, or anywhere in a property where you've got hardwood floors that you need to be able to protect. I would think it's probably overkill for working with vertical surfaces such as covering tile and things like that, but the option is there if you choose for it to be. Which brings us to the fourth and final option that we're going to discuss today, ram board. This is the most heavy-duty option of the things that we're going to discuss today by far, and it's also the most expensive. This roll covers 150 feet, and it is also $30, so it's the same price as the X-board, but it covers roughly half of the square footage. The main difference between these two is going to be the thickness. So I would recommend using something like a ram board if you're going to be covering hardwood floors and you know that they're going to need to be covered for an extended period of time. We're talking about days on days on days on days. And when you're putting down these more expensive products that you know you're going to be on the floor for a very long time, you need to take the time to make sure that you've got the floor completely covered so that nothing can slip underneath the corners and edges of the paper, because the period of time that you're going to have the floors covered, if something slips underneath it and is able to scratch the floor, it could be weeks or months before you actually realize that something is damaging your floors, and at that point the damage could be substantially worse than it would have been had you noticed it after a day or so. So please keep that in mind. So that concludes the 4 options of the paper products for covering a hardwood floor to protect it during renovation. Let's look a little bit closer at each one of these. I'm gonna take the camera down so you can see it closer. And then I'm also gonna give some tips for installing the paper, so stay tuned. Okay guys, for a closer look, let's start with the red rosin paper. The red rosin paper is the thinnest, as I said before, and just want to kind of show you up close. If I turn it up here on its end, you can see that I can squeeze the roll with my hand and it moves. And if you look at the edge here of the profile of it, you can see that it's relatively thin. It's almost the weight of like a construction paper, almost like what you had back when you were in school in art class. It's kind of a little bit thinner than that. Next is the builder's paper, and you can see on the roll here that I can't squeeze it as easily. So when I turn it up on its end here, you can see that it makes a little bit of noise there and it gives some resistance when we're trying to bend it. These two papers are both easy to make form around curved surfaces. So if you're doing something that's vertical or using it on something that has a curved surface, these two options are pretty easy to work with. As you move up in price and thickness, the paper becomes a lot more rigid and stiff, and you have to kind of bend it and work with it and make it form around what you're trying to protect. So if you're trying to do like a stair nosing or something like that at the top of a second story, the top of the very first step, that would be something that you'd have to kind of work and bend down and then try to tape to the underside to make it stay in place. But after a few days, it should settle down and relax some and allow you to be able to keep it down there in place. But it's something that you definitely need to kind of work with in the beginning and keep an eye on. So let's move over to our X board. So I picked the X board up. You can see that just by the size of the opening here, you can kind of tell that it's wound up this wide because it's this stiff. It can't be spun down into a smaller spool, if that makes sense. And so let me see if I can even bend it. I can't even get my hand over it, but let's just see if I can bend it. It's very stiff. When I take this one on its end, you can see that it's a much stiffer paper. And I've got a couple of these on the floor, guys, so I'll show you the builder's paper and the X board actually rolled out, because those are the ones that are being used on this floor. Here's our RAM board, as promised. I'll slide this one down and you can see it's also on a big roll, and I'm pushing on this and it's not bending. So it's much thicker and stiffer. You can kind of hear just from the noise that it's making, and you can see how little it's moving, that it's very stiff and rigid. Heavy duty. RAM board also comes in a 100-foot roll. The 100-foot roll will save you approximately $5 from buying two 50-foot rolls separately. All right, now let's take a look at what it looks like on the floor. If you look here closely, this is the builder's paper that I've got down here, and it's been down here for approximately 1.5 weeks. So if you look at you can see that it's got some waviness in it, which is normal. It's in good shape though. I've got it in a portion of the room that is lower traffic than the rest. So over here in the kitchen area, I actually went with the X board. And if you look closely here on all these products, you can see that the seam here is taped. So we've got two pieces that are butted up together, and we use tape to cover all of our seams. So we're going from the thicker X board here to the builder's paper here. So you can see how that one moves, and this one doesn't move as much. And in case you're wondering, this was the last stretch on this roll, and I had to bend it down and put a crease in it here to make it lay flat, if that makes sense. Okay guys, one final tip before we get out of here, and I should have mentioned this earlier on because this is an important one. When you are rolling out your paper and taping it seam to seam, make sure that you do not tape the paper to the floor. The adhesive in the tape will remove the polyurethane when you get ready to pull your paper up. So don't do it. If you've got to tape to something, tape to the baseboards or to the shoe mold. And if you want to take it even a step further, use a green or a yellow tape when you're doing this, because these are going to be less likely to damage the paint finish on your baseboard or shoe mold. So hopefully you found this video informative. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also go to the website and check out the blog post covering this same topic. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.